Good morning, everybody. It has been a while since I've been able to get out and make a video. I've gone out for a couple kind of preliminary hikes, but there wasn't able to get into any fishable water, and runoff is kind of going full swing down here, although levels are starting to come down. But it's been a busy spring between one of the golf leagues that I run, involvement in the dog hunting club, as well as my son getting married last weekend. Things are finally settling in. Snow's melting up high, so what I'm going to try to do today is get into one of the local, I guess you call it local, but nearby golden trout lakes. It is about 5 to 6 mile hike depending on which way you go. I'll try to take a little bit of a shortcut, about a 3,500 foot elevation gain. So it's a nice tune-up hike, just kind of get my feet wet, start exercising, and hopefully catch some really pretty small golden trout. They actually use this lake as kind of a brood lake where they harvest eggs periodically to transplant some of the other lakes around the state off and on. So it's a beautiful area. It's a steady slog going uphill. So I'll be suffering a little bit, but hopefully I'll be able to get in. I actually tried it just over a week ago, and the snow just got a little bit deeper than I was willing to try to navigate. So hopefully with a little additional melting and some warm weather we've had over the last week, hopefully it'll be good enough. But I'll check back in at the trailhead. Thanks for joining. Well, I made it to the trailhead. It's about a 2-hour drive. This hike is about 2 to 2.5 hours, depending on the trail condition and my condition. But you kind of climb up out of the valley floor, and I'll show a couple pictures here and there. And it's kind of through an old burn area, so there's a lot of new growth. And then I'll get up into some timber, and that's where the snowdrifts were last time I was up here. So I'm hoping they're melted enough. The water is lowering in the various creeks and stuff, so I think the runoff is kind of tapering down. This lake is just over 9,000 feet, but the shady area and the snowfall and stuff is still a little sketchy. But hopefully I get up there in good order and have some time to fish and show you some beautiful little golden trout. Okay, I'm about 40 minutes into this, still going up the switchbacks. I'll be heading up that valley there. Oni's back there whimpering, but thought I'd take a moment to show you kind of where we're coming from. You can see the valley floor down there, and there's a couple valleys that I hike off around the corner to the left, as well as one up that way, and the road comes in from the valley that way. You can see there's some cabins and stuff by this lake, which is on the edge of the wilderness. So hopefully I'll get through these switchbacks here pretty soon, and then get up into some kind of more of a side hill and into the timber, and hopefully the snow drifts are mostly gone. Well, I was able to get to the top. The snow drifts weren't too bad. You might be able to make out the lake behind me. I just need to drop down a couple hundred feet and walk around to the water's edge, and I will be able to have a quick lunch and start fishing. It took a little bit longer as I anticipated, just being early in the season and out of shape. Haven't been up here in a few years, and I let myself get too hungry, so I got to go down have some lunch. All right, so had a quick lunch, and I've rigged up my Tenkara Traveler 39. I've got a long floating line on this. I don't have much casting room. There's a steep bank behind me, but I got to get out past the drop off here, and I'm just starting off with an indicator and a little olive scud,
and a dropper on that of a little juju midge. So we'll just see what we can do. Might be like watching paint dry here, unless they start biting, but we'll see what happens. I may try probing along the shoreline here with a dry fly or soft tackle, depending on what happens here. All right, so I just took out the GoPro battery, kind of reset it so it starts working again. But I caught that pretty little golden, which is typical of this lake. They don't get big here. There's quite a few of them, and they kind of use it as the brood lake I mentioned, harvesting eggs. But that little fella hit that olive scud like a ton of bricks. Put up a good fight. Unfortunately, the GoPro didn't want to play along, so we'll see if we can catch another one here. Like I said, it hit the upper fly, the olive scud, and Oni's sitting there watching intently. I'm using the Traveler 39 because I wanted some reach, but I also want some backbone for this long floating line and indicator rig. I don't need a big rod for these smaller fish. You know, 12 inches is a good fish, and they're not overly fat. The Montana Fish and Game actually encourages harvesting a few of them to keep the numbers down a bit. But I'm not planning on taking any out today, and I just saw one rise out there in the middle. So if I see some of that close by, I might have to try a different technique on the surface, which would be fun. Much better than watching the indicator, but I do what I do in order to catch fish at least. I have come up here a handful of times in the past. One time I stayed overnight, and towards evening there was rises and I was able to catch them on dry flies. That was with a regular rod and reel. But during the day, I've never had much luck on anything on the surface, and it seems like the olive scuds seem to do the best. This lake is a popular destination lake for folks to check off golden trout on their bucket lists. There is a good camping area a few hundred yards away, or you can do it in a day trip like I am now, although it doesn't leave a lot of time for fishing unless you make a long day of it. But after a couple hours of driving and 2.5 hours of hiking, I usually only fish for an hour or two before I start heading back in order to get home in the same day. My goal is always just get some exercise and see some beautiful scenery, catch a few fish, and call it good. Oni's still waiting patiently for his opportunity to sniff a fish. First thing he did when we got here was jump in the water and started swimming around. There's not a whole lot of water or creeks for him to drink from, so I'm sure he was warm and thirsty. I know I was. I've always thought I should try over at the outlet in that corner over there. This time of year they might be huddled up for spawning and stuff, so I kind of want to leave them alone, but I'm not sure how deep it is anyways. Never really investigated. I just come down this shoreline where I know it gets deeper. Right, so as I'm drifting my line here between me and the indicator, I actually was able to spot a fish cruising. It was only a foot or two under the surface, and I did lengthen my scud to be about 5 to 6 feet, and it was closer than where I had my indicator anyways. So as I was looking a different way, I felt the tug and looked, and my indicator was gone. Oh, and it came off. That's not nice. It's been probably 20 to 25 minutes since I caught that first one so quickly. I was beginning to let my mind wander and look around for mountain goats and stuff and let my guard down. All right, so I just hooked another one. See if this one will stay on. Oh, I see somebody else just got here. I can see their dog. Oh, Nino, stay, stay, stay. Let's see if I can get this one in. Pretty little fish. Don't have a net. That's a pretty little guy. Oh, jeez. Oni! No. Yeah, Oni, out. Darn it. Hopefully I got that in the film, in the view. Try another one. Well, that was some pretty slow fishing. I think I had a grand total of about 7 strikes. I only got 2 to hand, lost 1, and had several missed hook sets. But you know, this trip for me has always been about kind of a tune-up, beginning of the season, you know, catch a couple pretty fish and get some good exercise. But had Oni here with me, and he's getting restless, so we're gonna head back. So on the way back, I'm gonna take a few more pictures, and you know, if you want to enjoy the scenery, stick around. If not, I appreciate you watching. Go. You okay? Go. Oh, he's gonna fall in the water. Come here, buddy. What you doing? Come here. Come here. Yeah, that's a good boy. That's a good boy. You're a happy boy, aren't you? You're a happy boy.